What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Mets'd podcast. I'm sure we will talk about that putrid loss that happened yesterday on Sunday at some point in this episode because we are doing a viewer voicemail episode. We asked you guys to go over to our Instagram, Mets'd over there. You can find us and you can follow us on Instagram, also on Twitter, TikTok, all social media, Mets'd. We asked you guys to send us some voicemails, questions, comments, concerns, feelings, vibes, whatever it is. We wanted to hear from you guys, and you guys came through. We got a bunch of messages, so we're just simply going to listen to those, answer your guys' questions, react to what you have to say. Again, what a horrible, horrible game on Sunday. We will talk about it way more in depth in tomorrow's episode that comes out after the National Series recap and after the series ends. But for now, let's see what the people have got to say. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Discord. And James, you want to go ahead and play that first voicemail?
Yep. First one is from our guy, Brandon. So here's Brandon's voicemail.
Hey, Mark and James. I'm just very disappointed with today's loss. You're up 7-1, and it's just very unacceptable to lose a game like this. And you have to play better. You had chances to add on to your runs. You cannot get complacent. You have to score runs. So what do you think we can do better? How do we learn from this? Especially Buto, who has been struggling, and Ryan Stanek, who both 2 stays in the series where he's going to win. What do you think we can do? I don't think we're in trouble, but I honestly think...
Do you have it in 2x speed?
I accidentally had it in 2x speed. Sorry, Brandon. Sorry, I accidentally had it in 2x speed. That was my bad. But I figured a lot of these voicemails we were going to get were going to be about this game because we opened up the air quotes phone lines right after the loss happened because we wanted some instant reactions from it. Because again, big recap episode coming tomorrow, like we always do at the end of every series, but needed some instant reaction because that game was so putrid. And I think the things to take from this are, one, I agree with Brandon that there's a bit of a Jose Buto problem, and I've been the staunchest supporter of Jose Buto since the beginning here.
This is a Jose Buto podcast.
It has been and forever will be, but it's a big problem. He's not getting ahead of hitters. He's not finishing hitters either. He's not getting them out. The slider's not moving the right way. The changeup can only do so much as a right-handed pitcher, especially one without elite velocity. Like we see Brazoban do this, lots of changeups from a righty, but he throws 98, where Buto does not. And this was kind of a spot where you bring Buto into to kind of build up his confidence, and the exact opposite happened where Riley Adams hits a 3-run homer with 2 strikes, and you're like, you just can't really believe what's happening right now. But that's kind of it. The other things to take, the thing that also, and Brandon mentioned this too, that I was kind of the most upset about when this game had ended was actually what happened in the top of the 9th inning when we had 2nd and 3rd, and I think there was no outs or 1 out, and there was no outs, and we got no runs home. And that was a situation to me where I was like, oh, this is a recipe for disaster. Like, if you tack on there, the game's over. You kind of kill their spirit. But not being able to tack on in that instance, I'm like, oh, this is terrible. And a big part of that, the last one that's mentioned for Brandon's here, was the Starling Marte getting up there instead of Jesse Winker, right-handed pitcher on the mound.
I didn't understand that.
Can't understand. I mean, I guess he was technically swinging it well in that game, Marte, but like in that instance, like it's objective one batter. You need to put the ball in the air. Marte doesn't even do that anyway, and for some reason it wasn't Winker, and I couldn't really fathom that.
Yeah, no, and like even with Winker, he still gets on base so much too. He's so patient at the plate where it's just going to be a higher quality at bat, especially when you have that advantage of going with the lefty against the righty, and you can't even use the argument that there was a left-handed pitcher warming up or anything like that either.
No.
Because Jorge Lopez was up in the bullpen. So I was confused about that. It felt like we were holding Winker for a spot that was never possibly going to come.
But that was the spot, I think.
Yeah, I'm saying that was the spot. It felt like he was maybe holding it for Acuna, maybe. I don't know. I don't understand where Jesse Winker could have been besides that spot. And yeah, the Jose Buto problem, it's weird because you can't get rid of this guy. He's too good to be a guy that you DFA, send down. You say he has no options left, so
if you DFA him, someone's claiming him in a second. He's on the White Sox tomorrow.
Yeah, he'll be their second best pitcher. And the underlying stuff with Jose Buto, he's 81st percentile in whiff rate. He's getting a ton of ground balls. They're still chasing a decent amount. It's just the walks right now have been a bit of a problem. Like you mentioned, putting guys away. Like his K rate is down 5% from last year, which is a big difference.
And just the way he's starting these at-bats. In this game, he only faced 5 hitters. He only threw strike 1 to 1 of them. Like you just can't, when you don't really have wipeout, strikeout stuff like Buto doesn't really have, again, being a changeup first righty guy, it's like not, if you don't get strike 1, it's really, really hard to climb back into these at-bats, especially when it's not really good command either without a wipeout breaking ball. It's just not, it's a recipe for disaster. And that disaster played itself out on Sunday, which sucked.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of is what it is. We're going to have a few more voicemails here. Let's go to Anthony. Anthony sent us one. Here we go.
What's up, boys? Brutal loss in game 3.
Clear mic.
I mean, Alonso
Really
with a
good.
bad throw, Stanek struggling this series. It's tough right now. This bullpen, its usage is getting to him. You can see it. Brazoban struggled. He got out of there luckily. Budo looks like shit. It's just tough. Minter to the IL. Like, bullpen has been really taxed so far. I mean, was just awful. Homer to Riley Adams, of all people, like, that's what sucks the most. It's always these scrappy people like Connor Gillespie or friggin' Sal Frelick. Like, bro, it's really fucking annoying. It's like every year. Nemo's struggling a lot. That sucks. Marte's struggling as usual. Jesse Winker's struggling. Soto with the ground balls, but it's like he's still hitting them hard. It sucks, man. It's just It's really bad because usage is going to get to this pen quick, and I just don't want this bullpen to suck because it seems the bullpen is the problem for a lot of these losses, like every fucking year. It really sucks, but let's go Mets and let's keep moving. Like we gotta get going again. We can't be only good at home and shit on the road. We have to fucking go. Let's go.
I think he does make a good point that the Mets really do kind of lose a little bit on the road for sure. They don't got the same vibe, the same energy, the same juice. That's something that needs to, I think, be addressed at some point. Again, like this loss to the Nationals was terrible, but like we're not gonna pretend like the sky's falling by any means.
No, of course not.
Still have all the faith in this bullpen. I think he does bring up a good point too, though, that this bullpen is getting taxed. Like they're playing 17 games in 18 days, basically. AJ Minter hitting the IL. No big booms for AJ. Unfortunately, he gets a doom today for the injury. Doom. But I don't know. Like the weird thing in this game was also where was Edwin Diaz for the ninth? Why couldn't he be used in back-to-back days?
Well, I mean, Meek Phil, friend of the program, had a good tweet the other day about the bullpen being taxed, where it's like Minter comes in back-to-back days for the first time this year, bang, like IL. And Edwin, he had the little hip thing that was going on that for some reason, again, Rob Thompson still thinks it's a fake injury, but he threw 22 pitches yesterday, so I figured that was just the reason he didn't come in today. And then with no off day again this week, they're like, I don't know, if he's pitching 2 days in a row, you might not have him for 3 days next time. So it's like you hope that Stanek's a guy that can do it. For some reason, this series, everything just fell apart for Ryan Stanek.
I mean, also like Alex Call had the cheap hit. Like he didn't hit that ball at all.
That's how things like this happen. Like the game Friday night was similar. Like your teams are always gonna have cheap hits, and they go both ways. Like that's totally okay. But Stanek, for some reason, maybe it's just like a mental block in the ninth inning. And I also that was Connor who let the last voicemail, right?
No, that was Anthony.
Super agree with Anthony about the starters not going deep enough, to taxing the bullpen. Today, when McGill got into the seventh inning, it was only the second time this year a Mets starter got out in the seventh inning. And the last time was 2 weeks ago when it was Kodai Senga in Sacramento. So it's like these guys just have to be able to start getting to the seventh inning. And I thought McGill was going to breeze through that seventh inning. He had just retired 12 guys in a row. He was cruising. And then Soto loses the ball in the sun. That's kind of how all this stuff started to get out of hand. And then that was also Call. Was that? No, it was Luis Garcia. He went up on second base, and he allows a smoked single to Josh Bell. Talk about owning the Mets. Like Josh Bell.
Him and Luis Garcia both.
If Josh Bell played on better teams for the last 10 years, like he'd be in the pantheon of Mets killers. His teams always just suck so bad. It sometimes doesn't really cause the issue. But that's how everything snowballed. It's just such little things like that set this team off. That was the most annoying part because McGill was about to have a beautiful 7-inning start with 9 strikeouts, 1 run, probably even 1 hit. And that's it. But like we just need, like, Peterson's not really been sharp of late. Like Kodai's good, McGill's solid. Canning's just never going to be a 7-inning guy. I think the way he's pitching right now. So these other guys, it's also Clay Holmes, I don't think really can be either. So these other 3 guys have to be able to get 7 innings when they can, like when they're having days like this. I think that was also one of the most frustrating parts about that loss.
This is what you hope for when Mania comes back, is another guy who can get you deeper into games, because ever since you dubbed him a 5-and-dive guy, all he did was throw 7 innings every single start. So having him back is going to really help. Having Frankie Montas back is going to really help too. Like, again, we don't know how those guys are going to, what the rotation is going to look like when those guys fit back in, but having more length like that will help. I also thought it was weird that Jose Urena was the call up for this.
I think it all makes sense because they need someone to give length. Like Jose Urena's here because he's going to throw 4 innings in 1 game over the next week and go right back down. Like that's what this is.
But like it feels like for a guy like Urena, but I guess you can't time it, is like he has to pitch as soon as he's called up so you can send him right back down, because otherwise he is a wasted spot.
Yeah, but I think that they need that wasted spot, someone to just go out there and just be a rubber arm for a little bit, because he stinks. He definitely is objectively bad, but they just need to eat innings. Like this, like you just said, is what there's going to be 17 games in 18 days. Like they need someone to pitch. It might even be more than that. I don't think they're off again until next Thursday. I believe they're playing again next Monday.
Yeah, so it's way more than.
Oh yeah, either Monday or Thursday, one of the days off. Can't remember right now. But like they just need an arm, and I think that's why you get a guy like Urena. That's why he's even on the team. Like we might see Brandon Waddell in this period too. But
yeah,
next voicemail here coming from our girl Emily. Here's Emily.
I'm wavering dangerously between, well, that was a shitty win, but there's 162 games, and like I'm going to throw something through my TV. But I think I'm leaning towards the first option, which is good. The bullpen was due for a blow up, was kind of hopeful they could still pull out a win, but that became apparent after the leadoff double in the bottom of the ninth that was not happening. Despite scoring 7 runs, the offense still sucked, and that's frankly more of my concern. I mean, I'm not overly concerned about anything because they've still won a lot of games, but it's only April. So really need to see more offensive production. Second and third and no outs and no runs in the top of the ninth is unacceptable. We move on. Let's go Giffen Canning. Let's go Mets.
Great voicemail for Emily. But again, I think it does come back to that. That top of the ninth inning was
Gotta
how
score those runs.
That's how you lose that game because you're a better team than the Washington Nationals. They've definitely proven to be pesky, as we called in the series preview last episode, and they do have dogs. It's undisputed. It's indisputable. This team has dogs. Guys like C.J. Abrams and James Wood are fucking ball players. Those
and
guys
Abrams
are going.
made that great play in the ninth too. He can't field a routine ground ball, but he makes a diving play on a ball roped at him. It's unbelievable.
On a one hopper, and like him, the frustration from Friday night. A lot of that melted away because I was like, damn, that was a crazy play by CJ Abrams.
Yes.
Like, and in any situation, scoring from first on a single, like, you're a freak. And Abrams is a freak. He beat that tag by a second, like half a second. It's just like, that's sometimes you got to just tip your cap because this team does have ball players, but you have a chance to be better in that top of the ninth inning. And that was kind of where the biggest failure occurred.
If you want a razor that looks good, makes you look good, gets the shave done, and doesn't cost much,
Oh.
Is it nice?
That's a hairy John. And you can smell it too. Smell it, John. Smell it.
Oh, wow. What
After
is that?
See, that's Harry's. That's the shave gel. I'm telling you, look. I mean,
you look scary, man.
It's the shot.
Fresh.
Now come in, get this.
I don't want to touch this head anymore. Oh, my God.
That looks like German-engineered blades made in their own
soft.
factory that stay sharp longer.
I'm using the razor, and it does not. You can start to feel when it
Yeah.
gets dull. I mean, you guys only do like here and like up here.
True.
I'm doing acreage. Get the edge on your shave with Harry's. Normally their trial set is $10, but right now you can get it for just $6 at harrys.com/foul. That's our exclusive link, harrys.com/foul for a $6 trial set.
Yeah, you got to get those runs there. They left him on base. They really didn't do anything offensively after those first couple innings. Like, it's just gotta swing the bats better. And
the first inning was also kind of like a bit of a clusterfuck. It wasn't really like impressive.
Yeah, he walked
inning.
like
It was
four
like
guys.
It's a bunch of walks and a bunch of singles. So it's like there wasn't really ever like a big shot being taken. And you had these guys totally on the ropes. You had them warming up their bullpen the first inning, and then you allowed Mitchell Parker to get through 5 innings and save their bullpen for the end of this game and the game you have to play against them tomorrow. That part was also so frustrating to me. They had the backs up against the wall and they let them off.
Yeah, and that plays into the struggle with Nimmo and the struggles with Vientos and the struggles with, Starling Marte as well. Like, there's weak spots in this lineup that you can't, and Tyrone Taylor, like that kind of right now are allowing pitchers.
Taylor can't hit.
No, if Jose Siri wasn't hurt, Tyrone Taylor was in dangerous DFA territory for sure.
Yeah, he's about there right now. And Drew Gilbert's been playing center field in AAA, so I think
there's a reason for that.
Yeah, I think that's them being like, let's see if he can do it, because we've been down on Gilbert because he's gotten some bad defensive scouting reports over the last few years, and while that's probably true, he's definitely not a plus center fielder. He's like 24.
Yeah,
he's a
good athlete.
You could probably fake center field for like 2 years, 24, 25, 26, and just be good enough there, especially with his arm. So I think that's something that we're probably have a good chance of seeing kind of soon.
Yeah. All right, I got another one here from Nolan L. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Yo, what up, Mark and James? So me and my friends, we went, drove 5 hours down to DC, went to the game yesterday and today.
This one yesterday.
Both days, there were way more Mets fans than were Nats fans. It was like, the atmosphere was like, honestly, pretty close to Citi Field, like on a shitty night. Like, you go there on a Wednesday when it's 60 degrees out and like not sunny. But it was really dope. It was a great experience, but I gotta say, this game was like, game 2 was so frustrating. The Saturday game was like probably the worst Mets loss I saw in my life. Just Budo doesn't look like he has it, and I've always been a pretty big Budo guy. Don't know what's going on there. Wondering if you guys had any thoughts on that. And then, what do you guys think happened with Soto? Why the hell did he drop that ball? Like, what the fuck happened? But not a lot of Mets fans were happy. It was like really awkward. Everybody just kind of left the stadium super fast. I know there's a couple of guys in our section that were Nats fans that are giving it back to us, but you know what? I'm an away fan. It happens. But yeah, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on the game. But it was definitely a weird vibe at the end. But like I said, leading up to that, you would have thought it was Citi Field. I got some really cool videos too if you guys want to see it.
That's cool. Thank you, Nolan. Appreciate that. I respect the 5-hour drive down to DC to watch the game. I love hearing the GPS in the background go, in 47 miles, exit right. It's like, oh, that's a hell drive.
That makes it feel like the radio, like the kind of radio show environment we're trying to bring here. And I think the thing going on with Buto right now is just the fact that, one, his fastball has been really, really inconsistent this season. Like he's not getting a very normal like movement pattern on it. Like they're kind of all over the place. Like some are cutting a lot, some are not cutting at all. Like some are rising a lot, some are not rising at all. I think that's the issue. And I think that's really it, because when he can't command that pitch, like he has thrown slightly more sliders and fastballs this year. But if you look at specifically like the heat map on his fastball, which I'll throw in here on the video, it's just they're all over the place. Like there's no real telling. Some are on the inside, some are outside, some are high, some are low, some are in the black, a lot of right down the middle. He's not finding consistency on that pitch. So while the slider does look pretty good, again, some of them aren't there, but a lot of them really are. He's done a good job to increase the vertical drop on that pitch this season. If he can't command that fastball and get ahead, it's just, I don't know what's going to happen, especially because that fastball is, again, it's just a 94, 95 mile an hour fastball. It's really not special. It's slightly below average velocity for relief pitchers. So if he can't command that pitch better, he's going to struggle.
Well said. I mean, we kind of mentioned Budo stuff already too, but that's pretty much the breakdown of it. He's got to get ahead, because if he's behind, he's not someone who's like Jacob DeGrom can get behind because he has some of the best stuff in baseball. He can't get behind.
Edwin too.
Edwin Diaz.
No
it doesn't
deal.
matter. Yeah, but like Jose Budo needs to throw strikes. If he's not throwing strikes consistently, especially getting ahead early, that's where you get into this trouble. So.
Yeah, and that's just where that's at. And I think it was a good note from Nolan about how lively the crowd was there, because we're like, the team has to find a way to win away from Citi Field, but like they've lost 2 of these games. It is a very pro Mets crowd always down there in DC, which is kind of funny. But
I also hate that stadium. It's
it's one of the worst in baseball.
Happens. Like even from our side, we've had chaos games positive and chaos games negative. It's crazy what games the Mets and Nationals have played in their small time there.
All right, now I got one coming in here from Joseph. So here's Joseph's voicemail.
Hey guys, calling in from San Antonio, Texas. I'll try to keep it short. Just wanted to say that I'm a big fan of the pod. I've learned so much about baseball from you guys. I only started watching baseball last year.
Whoa.
Mets mean a lot in my family. My grandpa, who I never met, my mom's dad, died in 86, 10 minutes after Game 6 of the 86 World Series. That's what my mom told me. So when they won that year, it was just a really big deal and like really magical and special for everybody.
Holy shit.
So I never watched a full game of baseball or cared about it at all in my entire life until the age of 25 last year, when I happened to catch the Mets on opening day. I wanted to get into baseball. I knew that if I was ever going to, that it would be the Mets. And I didn't want to plop in mid-season, I think 2 years ago, so I ended up bailing. Didn't really care, but happened to watch opening day last year, and it was just one of the most magical seasons as a fan that I've ever experienced in my life. And you guys were just a big part of that. And I say that as somebody who's a Spurs fan. I've seen several championships in my life, so high praise. It was just a magical season, and I learned so much from you guys and just a couple of other pods. But keep doing what you're doing, and I just, keep spreading the love of the game. I think it's awesome. So go Mets.
Thank you, Joseph.
That was a great voicemail after a lot of people just to kind of the mood after that loss. But that's crazy. Could you imagine dying before Game 7?
I mean, dying 10 minutes after Game 6.
Shout out Joseph's grandpa. That's a wow.
That's crazy. And also,
that was amazing voicemail.
Shout out to Joseph too for sticking around after watching that horrible opening day last year. I mean, the highlight of that game was Seymour Wiener. Otherwise, it was like, this game sucks.
I can't believe wanting to watch more baseball after that game. Also, even just sticking with this team through the first 6 weeks of last year, and we were horrible. It was strange to see Jorge Lopez pitching against us this weekend.
Yes.
But the fact on Friday night when the SNY broadcast, they zoomed in on his glove when he was pitching, that was truthfully hilarious. I loved every second of that.
Frankie Peppers sent you one, James. If you want to go ahead and play Frankie Peppers, give him a little more airtime.
And also, guys, for the lore of Frankie Peppers, that came from a voicemail episode. That is how Frankie Peppers left us a review, and we read out reviews all the time. We have to get back to that next few episodes. So if you guys leave us a 5-star review on Apple, we will read it out. He left the review as Frankie Peppers. We kind of create this mystique, and he dropped us a voicemail. We were like, that was the best thing we've ever heard. Now you're regular
Frankie Peppers.
Now you're the third co-host, but here's the regular Frankie.
Gentlemen, this is Frankie Peppers. How you doing?
How you doing?
Not the result we were looking for, boys. Nah, no good. Always hurts to lose a game like that, especially when you're up so big so early. We have to remember that every team goes through this. Every single team goes through this. World Series winners go through this. So it's one game. It's not 162 games. It is one game out of 162. And we have to wait to see if this is emblematic of what's coming up, or if that's just a one game thing. So let's not overreact too hard now. I'll talk to you boys soon. Have a good weekend.
No, I agree with Frankie though. No overreacting. I mean, we're not an overreaction podcast. Like even we toyed with the idea of doing like a instant reaction to this game. Me and James were like, it's not really us. Like we know this is game 29 of the season. Like,
and the Mets still have the best record in baseball.
Yeah, like things could be way worse. Again, we keep saying this every episode. They're not hitting. They're really not hitting at all as a team, and it's still going all right. So.
And that was supposed to be the backbone of this team, was like a bona fide top 5 offense in the league, but it's not able to get there right now because again, right now we just have like really good Juan Soto instead of like one of the best players in the league, Juan Soto, which is again, it's still pretty funny because after this game where he got on base 4 times, had a double, the OPS still 770. I think he's still about 130 WRC plus. Like he's still a tremendous baseball player. Like there's no issue there, but it's just until we get meaningful production out of some combination of Vientos, Marte, Nimmo, also McNeil, Alvarez, and Winker. Like it's just not going to be there. Like we need to lengthen this lineup. It needs to get deeper. The top 3 guys can only do so much, and we need the strength. One of the strengths of this lineup was supposed to be, apart from the star power, is the depth. And until that depth comes, like it's just you gotta start hitting more. You have to figure out a way to do that.
Yeah, and I have a feeling a couple more of these voicemails might address some of the hitting stuff. So I'll save those questions for them before we start talking about that. But I think we have a few more. We're gonna rip all of them, I'm assuming, right? Because I think we have like 3 more after this.
I'm counting 5 more total.
You're counting 5 more?
Yeah, I got Steve, Eric, Gavino, Andrew, and then Yordi in the primary.
Where do you see? Okay, I'll let you. I don't know where Andrew is, but you'll do that one. I'll do Steven or Steve G right now. Steve, let's hear what you got.
What's up, boys? Okay, first time, long time. Actually, that's not true. I only just started listening recently, but big fan of the show. Let's talk two things, offense and bullpen. Offense, can we step on their throats? I mean, top of the 9th, my wife, who pretty much watches every game with me, turns to me and goes, get a fly ball in the air. I mean, you got 2 guys on, no outs, get a sac fly. How hard could that be? Totally ridiculous that you can't execute on that. Second, the bullpen. I'm kind of scared now. Minter with the elbow or the lat, whatever it is. Stanek, I'm not too worried about him, but it's 2 blown games in a row. Brazi and Max have been a little bit overused. Not a big fan of Danny Young, but whatever. I know we have Nunez in the wings, but apparently he's not lighting it up in AAA. So this bullpen's scaring me a little bit. Diaz is a roller coaster. I know we trust him, but we don't trust him. So a little concerned here, Otherwise, love the show. And looking forward to more episodes. Bye.
I will say, I think the only thing that concerns me is the Minter injury right now with the bullpen. I still have all the faith in this bullpen to be good and be productive like they have been. Obviously, there's going to be a little regression. I don't think they are the number 1 bullpen in baseball like their bullpen ERA would say. But I think that losing Minter is the scary part because he really has been so great for this team. I know he kind of scuffled a little bit the other night, but overall, he's been very consistent. He's done a good job. He's able to get lefties out. He's able to get righties out. That's huge for a guy from the left side. I know the Mets signed Brooks Raley. I don't know if you caught that. They signed Brooks Raley. So that maybe he's on his way back to this roster, especially with Minter on the IL at some point. I'm sure Brooks Raley hasn't been throwing many competitive pitches over the last couple of years with the injuries and stuff like that as well. But I'm not worried about the bullpen. But yes, they just need to get a sac fly so bad.
Yeah, that again, it keeps coming back to that, which is annoying because while this bullpen was terrible today, by basically every single metric, we're still a top 5 bullpen in baseball. Strikeout minus walk rate, earned run average. This is still a tremendous bullpen. Again, it's not the Padres bullpen, this is not the Dodgers bullpen, but this is still a good bullpen. I'm confident this bullpen will continue to be a good bullpen as long as they do not, again, run these guys into the ground like Steven, like we were concerned with. And about Deadneal struggling in AAA, AAA's ridiculous. It's they use the ABS system with the challenges. The Eastern League's just a very hitter friendly league. It's hard to adjust to that system. And also, this isn't a thing for Nunez, but it's a thing for a lot of other guys who go up AAA. There's a different baseball, AAA and AA, where AAA is using the Major League Baseball. So there's a lot of weird factors happening in AAA. And if I'm looking at Nunez right now, the strikeout rate is high, but the walk rate is also very, very high. So I think that's probably a guy that's kind of, one, shaking rust off and trying to figure that command back out after not having much of spring training. But then two, which probably just about kind of working with a balls and strike system that he had. I mean, he did work with a little bit last year, but like when he got to the major leagues, that was not the case anymore. And weirdly, he's had some high walk rates the last few years, specifically in the minor leagues relative to the majors. Like last year was almost it was like 40% higher in the minor leagues. 2 years ago, it was almost 7 walks per 9 in AAA as well. So maybe it's just something where going down there, you kind of lose it a little bit.
I think also like with the ABS stuff, you kind of get what's the word? It's better for you to be very patient because chances are most pitches that umpires are going to give, like on the edges, are going to be ending up as balls. So there's kind of more incentive to be more patient and really look for your pitch in the zone, which has got to also really help the hitters out a ton.
Yeah, that's a big thing there. But next voicemail here coming from Andrew. Here's Andrew.
There's two ways to look at this. One, the Mets are still the best record in baseball. They're at the time that I'm recording this, only team in baseball that has not lost 10 games yet this year.
It's true.
So we all knew the bullpen wasn't going to be that good forever. I just wish forever lasted 3 more fucking innings between 2 days ago and today. So it does suck that this is how it all went down, but I still think the Mets are in a great spot. I don't think the Nationals are as bad as people really thought they were. Their bullpen does suck, and it sucks that we couldn't get to it, but I don't think their lineup is as bad as people expected going into the season. That, and also just like real quick sidebar, I did not realize how privileged we are to have Gary, Keith, and Ron. I live about 20 minutes outside of DC's ballpark, so I have to listen to the Nats announcers. They fucking suck.
FP Santangelo.
Gary, Keith, and Ron are so much better than that shitter Michael K. and whoever the fuck is in the Nationals fucking broadcast booth. So yeah.
Wait, we got 10 more seconds and then let's do it because
that
was
electric.
Awesome.
I'm back for a second voice message. This won't be quick. Frank the Tank is pissing me off. Never really bothered me before, but he's getting me going right now. I hate him. I don't hate him. That's a strong word. I don't hate anyone. Frank the Tank is pissing me off.
And then he actually said, he texted after, actually, I do hate Chase Utley. So he does actually hate somebody. So
I like that. That's good.
That's a great voicemail from Andrew. But
we got Frank the Tank to reply to a Mets'd Up tweet, and he went ballistic on it.
Yeah, which is crazy. I can't even believe that. I threw him the meme back of the person like talking with their group and like giving a thumbs up somebody outside the group, then coming back to the group. I also want to shout out my cousin Matt, former part-time intern for the Mets'd Up podcast. He texted in our family Met group chat. Can't believe the Mets are the first team to 20 wins in the 6th inning. So he's a real asshole for that one.
Matt.
Yeah, he knows better. He knows better, man. He knows better. It was terrible. He was spending too much time hating the Knicks as a Nets fan. So he's
a Nets fan too.
It's terrible. A discombobulated day. But
what the hell's going on there?
Horrible. It's just again like everything's with a grain of salt. But the one thing is like we're keeping a closer eye on the bullpen now.
All right, this one's coming from Gavin. He prefaced it with "OMG, I'm falling asleep. I don't know if it's good or not. I'm going to call it a night. Hope to bump into y'all at the ballpark." So this might sound terrible. We'll find out. Let's hear it.
Thanks for the opportunity to be on. I'm Gavino. I'm from Manhattan. And just today, I guess, kind of the opinion of today's game. I mean, Nimmo's looking like he's in a slump. Throughout the week, I've seen, the return for McNeil and Alvarez, and they're looking really good right now. As well as, seems like the right move was to send Beatty and Senger back down. I'd love to see more Senger later on in the season, hopefully, and I'm hoping to see a rotation between Torrens and Alvarez. I think that those guys really do make a great catching combination, especially with Torrens' arm so far this year. Nothing short of spectacular. Brandon Nimmo, again, still batting in a slump right now, kind of. He's been in a slump for a while. I mean, he's getting on base, but the issue is, I don't know, honestly. But also, Juan Soto, I feel like he's not producing as many hits as we expected or big hits. He's getting on base, but I'm starting to feel like he is really extremely overpaid. I hope that, these guys continue to find their groove throughout the season. And hopefully, especially Soto, our $700.5 million man can do some more. I watch my grandpa all the time, and it's been conversations really similar about all that this season. But overall, optimistic to see how the future works out. I see this team honestly being the team that can beat LA in the to get to the World Series this year.
The yawn is crazy. The yawn was crazy, Gavin. Gavino from Manhattan. That was a roller coaster of a voicemail.
One time a few years ago for Christmas, I got my dad a cameo from Keith Hernandez. It was Christmas, birthday, something like that. Father's Day, I don't remember what it was. And most of those cameos always wind up being exactly the same. Keith sneezed in the middle of my dad's cameo and left it in. Just kept going like a champion afterwards. So I love that live stuff. I mean, we can't get close to being worried about Juan Soto yet. The guy's still playing totally well. We're not playing well. And we were talking about Nimmo a lot off air before this happened. And the crazy thing about Nimmo right now is as much as he's struggling, like as far like on the schneid he is, he's running some of the best advanced stats of his entire career. Like he has one of the highest hard hit rates in baseball. He's not striking out. Like he's not swinging and missing. He's not chasing. Like it's kind of incomprehensible to look at his advanced stats, but also watch him every single day because I feel like the at bats are bad and I feel like the contact is not good. But then to look at this stuff and be like, how is he actually hitting the ball this hard? I'm not even noticing it.
Baseball Savant has this great thing now where you can look at where guys are set up in the plate. So with their stances, how deep they are in the box, how far away from the plate they are. And the one that particularly caught my eye, I'd say like point of interception. So it's basically the nearest your bat gets to a ball on swings, whether you hit it or not. What's the average distance in front of the plate in inches that you are hitting the ball? And Brandon Nimmo this year, the ball is getting extremely deep, deeper than it ever has. That's probably part of the reason why he's hitting so many ground balls, why the balls are getting kind of flared off to left field a lot of opposite way stuff. Balls on the ground is just the deeper you let the ball get for a swing like Brandon Nimmo, your bat's just not at that point yet through the zone where you're able to get that lift because you're letting that ball get deeper. And I know 2-3 inches doesn't sound like that much, but when the game's moving this fast, I mean, you teach their own, I guess, 2-3 inches, but
it can make a difference.
Yeah, it can make a difference, especially in baseball. It can make a difference when the pitch is crossing the plate. The way your swing path, like if we ever add swing path stuff to Baseball Savant,
we will for sure.
We will literally be able to tell you exactly what's going wrong with every single swing. And right now for Brandon Nimmo and Juan Soto and Mark Vientos, three guys who I think a lot of people were expecting to hit a lot better than they currently are, they are letting the ball get so much deeper than they have in the past, where a guy like Pete Alonso, who's having one of the best starts of his career, is hitting the ball out in front of the plate way more often than he has, especially considering what he did last year.
And again, I think that's more of like a chicken or the egg situation where if you're going well, you're hitting the ball out in front of the plate more. You're getting under the ball, you're pulling it, like you're kind of finding that ideal bat path and getting that good timing. But when you're struggling, you're making worse quality of contact. Of course, you have a deeper intercept point. A guy like Soto's been someone's always
the old school adage of like when you're struggling, you gotta let the ball travel. You got to see the ball. You need to let it get deep. Like you hear Keith say that stuff all the time. And in this actual scenario, it's like no. We want Juan Soto, Brandon Nimmo, and Mark Vientos swinging out of their shoes, trying to hit the ball out with authority. Because when you let the ball get deeper, you just don't have that power. You don't have the ability to lift the ball. When you hit it out in front of the plate, that's where you get those fly balls. That's where you get the lift.
And something interesting about Nimmo as well that kind of plays off this, even anecdotally, is that so far this year, he has a very bad run value against fastballs. Run value is kind of just like the amalgamation of how productive you are against certain pitches. For Nimmo's career, he's always been a guy that crushed fastballs. Last year was a +8 run value against fastballs. That was one of the highest. That was by far his highest against any pitch. This year is a -3. When that pitch is the one that he's struggling with, and his whiff rate is increased on that pitch. To me, it's indecisiveness. To me, it might be a timing thing. It's that pitch is getting by him more often than it has ever really for him in the past. But he's also still hitting it very hard and lifting it like a decent amount. And like I can't. There's so much still going for Nimmo that it has to click back at some point. Like I can't believe that his production has been this bad. And I don't think it will continue to be either.
No, I don't think so either. All right, let's wrap up these last two here for this episode. James, which one are you going with?
We got a few more. I forgot we also have Theo's here. Theo's a very loyal fan. So I'm going to play Theo's real quick right now.
Sure. Hit Theo.
What's up, Wiz? Obviously tough to lose that series. You definitely want to take 2 out of 3. You're definitely looking, for a sweep. Obviously what's going to happen. Can't win every single game that you play. So I had a few questions. Pete Alonso obviously blew the game today. What do you think a realistic contract is going to look like for him? In terms of years AAV, obviously it's going to level out, but he started really hot. And then second, what do you think do you think a bullpen shakeup is imminent? Budo hasn't been good. We have Danielle down in Syracuse. Do you think David Stearns is going to keep toying around with the bullpen? Love you guys. Keep doing the great work. I love your podcast. And happy belated Easter.
Oh, thank you.
Love you too, Theo. Appreciate that. But again, I don't think it's gonna be any kind of shakeup. I think Budo just not having an option. I think he's just too good to cut. And I think
Way too good.
He's simply too good to cut. There's probably even an expectation of him possibly being a starter again at some point in his career. You just don't let a guy like this loose. A very valuable.
He'll hit the IL with arm fatigue before they cut him.
Way before. And two, the Alonso question I think is interesting because one, that was a terrible play at the end of the game, but I wouldn't go as far as say he blew the game. No, by any means.
Stanek got over there late. That makes that play a lot harder for Pete too.
Yeah, he also just skied the ball. And you at that point you even. And then we have another out.
He tried to place it. It instead of just take the ball and throw it to the spot.
Yes, but the other thing with Pete about a contract, again, he's had a really good month this season. One that he looks like one of the best hitters in baseball again, like he did a few years ago. This might be a hilariously hot take from me. I want to know what you think about this.
Ooh, okay.
I don't think his market's going to be much different unless he actually has a 55 homer season. Truthfully,
we're the worst.
I know, but it's terrible. But truthfully, what are the things that worked against Pete Alonso this past season? Just the fact that he was a one-dimensional player and a first baseman who was over 30 years old. You know what he's still going to be this offseason? A one-dimensional first baseman who's a year older. He's a year past 30 now. So I don't see him getting more than a 4 for 110 again.
What was the contract the Mets originally offered? Remember, what was the rumor for that one?
It's no, the one that he apparently said no to. Wasn't that 6 for 170 or something?
6 for 170 feels high. I don't know.
Or 6 for 140, 6 for 156, something like that.
I think that's about there. Take a year off of what that offer was. Just make it one less year in the same AAV. This is going to sound crazy, but I just don't think that this does anything to really boost his market by a significant enough value. The only thing this might have is maybe, and I say this I love Pete, he's playing so well, and it's not, these teams aren't stupid for being interested in him, but maybe this convinces a couple of the stupid teams to build around a first baseman as their big money guy. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. And again, the couple market changes that Pete has made that have stuck in the last couple of years, he's really increased, he's really improved his chase rate, swinging fewer pitches outside the strike zone. He started doing that really meaningfully in 2023, and then he carried that 2024. But when he was doing that, he was just making more contact on pitches outside the zone, and then also kind of swing at more pitches, like we talk about a lot in the shadow of the plate. That was something that Pete was struggling with, picking the wrong pitches in the zone sometimes to swing at, and then making more contact, but generally weaker contact. This year, he has fixed that, where now he's hitting the shit out of every single thing and picking all the right pitches to swing at again. So he's kind of brought the much improved chase rate from the early part of his career and married it with the really good consistent hard contact he had too in the early part of his career. And the bat speed has gone up a little bit, which is kind of amazing to think about, that Pete Alonso at 30 has a faster bat than he had each of the last 2 years. Also, that's a big part of it. But his bat, he never had bad bat speed. Last year he was swinging 75 miles an hour. This year he's swinging 76 miles an hour. That's the difference between the 90th and 95th percentile, which is definitely a big difference because you're going from elite to super elite. But I don't think that his market's actually that changed at all, which is, again, music to David Stearns' ears.
Yeah, no, I think it's the exact same thing. And going back to the bullpen, David Stearns will always tinker with the bullpen, but right now there's really no reason to. Jose Budo is struggling, but he's not going anywhere.
Buto. Yeah, we got the accent at the end now though. So drop the next voicemail.
I lost track of where we're at. Where are we with these?
I got a few left here.
They're all red now, so I don't know where to go.
Oh yeah, my bad. So we have 2 left from Eric and then from Yordi, and I think they're both quite long. So yeah, this one's 238. So I'm gonna play on 2x speed. So Eric, 238 and 2x speed.
Hey, Mark and James, thanks for letting me call in. First time, long time, huge fan of the podcast. I'm just going to name a couple guys I've been disappointed in this season. I think we're deep enough to where we start hitting the panic button on a couple guys. I just want to see what you guys thought.
Nimmo, Vientos.
The clear most disappointing player on the team has been Brandon Nimmo. He has just not been hitting the ball at all this season. It feels like none of his at-bats are competitive, and that's something that I feel like even when Brandon was struggling, he'd be able to work the count against these starters. I feel like now it's just, he immediately goes down 1-2 or 0-2, and it's a ground ball or a strikeout. It's just not good at all, and we still have to have him for a couple more seasons, and we're still paying him a good amount, and it sucks to see him already regressing because he's one of my favorite Mets. And another guy offensively who's just been really bad this year is Starling Marte. I know he had that walk-off a couple days ago, but again, he's just uncompetitive at the plate. I can see why David Stearns was trying to move him, honestly, ever since he got here. I don't think he's a Met after the season, so, I think the Mets should trade him, honestly, or honestly DFA him, because he's just kind of been useless, and he's not even stealing bases anymore, so I don't really know his role in the team. Now, going into the pitching, I think all of our starters have been fabulous, but from the reliever standpoint, Jose Butto, we need to have a conversation about him, because last year he was elite, as we all know, but it feels like ever since that Brewers series where he gave up those back-to-back homers, he's just hasn't been the same. His fastball looks flat. I mean, today what he did was just embarrassing. He ruined a gem by Tyler McGill, and it's just frustrating. How many more chances is he going to get? Because last year he was able to eat up innings. He came up big for us, and it's just been a struggle this season. It's been frustrating to watch. And then, lastly, Danny Young. I honestly don't know why he has a roster spot at this point. I mean, the only reason I could see it is because he's a lefty and the Mets are short on left-hand pitching, but he has been not good at all. And honestly, I think the Mets need to start looking for better options, because there's definitely better options available. And every time he's out there, I just cringe. So those are my 4 guys who I've just been really disappointed with, and I'm definitely concerned and hitting the panic button. And I want to know what you guys thought, if you guys had any other players in mind. Thanks.
All right, thank you for that, Eric. Luckily, I think we did get to most of these so far this episode. I think the one we have is Danny Young, which I think is funny because I think that Mets fans, we always need like that guy in the bullpen to scapegoat.
It's not bad.
He's not. I'm not Danny Young's not a world beater. Like, no, I'm not like grinning when I see Danny Young trotting from the bullpen. But it's like I think he's just, as far as like a lefty in the back of the pen goes, I think he's totally okay. And one more point about Nimmo that I didn't make last time that I want to talk about is the fact that Eric brought up a good point that like one of the trademarks of Nimmo's skill always used to be the fact that he was really good working the count. Like he would fall behind, he'd find a way to get back in. Something amazing that's happening with Nimmo this year is that he's seeing one of the highest rates of pitches in the strike zone for any pitcher in baseball. And that's at 57%. The major league average is 48.5%. So I think that knowing this, pitchers are like, you're not doing that shit anymore. Like, there's just no way. Like, we are no longer giving you the opportunity to get back in these at bats. Like, you will be getting strikes, which I guess that is a bit of a bad sign because that means that
it's interesting
pitchers
too,
aren't that afraid of him anymore. But it's also like
his first pitch strike rate is still really high, like as high as it's been though. Like 2023, 62% first pitch strike. Like
he's being more aggressive. He's responding to more pitches and strikes by being more aggressive. He still has a good quality of contact. I think it's
the swinging strikes are so much higher this year than it's ever been as well. Like you mentioned, like he is getting more strikes in the zone. There's no doubt about that. That's the highest it's been. But his first pitch strike percentage is not very different than where it's been in previous years. So it's just that the quality of swings have not been as good. Really, at the end of the day, the called strikes are lower. That's a big part.
Well, because he's swinging more at them. Yeah. Like, that's the whole thing. Like Nimmo is someone that we used to give him so much credit for his swing decisions, but that's something that's gone way downhill this year. Like this is the first time where we're like, oh man, like he's no longer making all of the right decisions when he's swinging the bat, which is the thing that we were the most excited about with Nimmo, even when he signed the big contracts. We were like, as long as you always have this in the bag, as long as you're always going to be like a plus swing decision guy, like I don't really have any concerns with how you're going to age.
This is so bizarre looking at like these numbers.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy like looking back for the years and seeing like how different this is. But I think a lot of that is an extreme game planning change by pitchers against Nimmo, where he's become significantly less selective, which is kind of amazing because that was his thing. Like he was the selective guy. The fact that he's now not being selective anymore, like that to me is definitely cause for some concern. I'm not concerned about Brand Nimmo. Again, the quality of contact is still really good. I still think he's going to very much pull himself out of this, but swinging a lot more and making significantly less contact in the strike zone, that's not a good combination. It's not worked out at all.
And letting the ball get deeper, not working.
Yeah, but I think once he gets right, he's going to be getting that ball out in front more. But I think that's the problem. He's not right.
That's part of it. Like he can get right. He can swing the bat earlier. He can make this change. It's not like getting good all of a sudden is just going to happen. He's like, oh yeah, now I hit the ball out in front. He can make that change right now. It can happen today.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just that's happening more when you're wrong, when you're bad. And also, just want to talk Marte. Like we made our stance clear on Marte.
He's got to be off the team.
His roster spot is almost like wasted space right now. Like the fact that we have two guys in Starling Marte and Mark Vientos who are right-handed batters that have no defensive value whatsoever. Vientos at least can play third base enough where Marte can't even.
And he could play first base too if we need him. He could play first.
Well, like Marte can't step foot on the field. He's like who was that? Steven? Eric? Steve? Who was that? I don't remember
which one. I think that might have been Eric.
I think that might have been Eric too. It's just
he's been slow as shit too this year.
And like, we're always like, all right, the sprint speed's slow because, he's not hustling the first base. Today, when he had to score in that double, he couldn't even move. It looked like he was in pain.
It looked like he was moving in slow motion. I couldn't believe how close that play was.
It was like limping around third, where it's like, I just don't know what he can do on this team anymore to help them win a regular basis, because he can't hit. He's not hitting homers. He can't lift the ball. Like he's basically a zero-tool player right now, and he's making $20 million and taking up a very valuable roster spot.
Yeah, I do think when push comes to shove, I think he will end up being cut from this team at some point if he doesn't step it up. I think they'll probably give him to the end of May, and then I think there's a chance Starling Marte is on this team. If you want to be a serious baseball team, this version of Starling Marte can't be on the roster.
I still think they love him. I still think they respect him. I still think they
like him. He's got good vibes, but he stinks.
Yeah.
Right. Does he want to be a coach?
Last one here coming from Yordi. This is also an over 2-minute one, so it's going to be at 2x speed, 1.5.
The Mets got to do something about this offense. I don't know who it is. I don't know if it's Eric Chavez that has to go. I never like to advocate for people losing their jobs. I'm just not that type of person.
Respectful.
But ever since Eric Chavez took over as the hitting coach, the Mets have struggled with runners in scoring position. Like, even if it's not for the entire year, but at long stretches, they just struggle. And can we please, someone grab Brandon Nimmo to the side and tell him, hey, remember when you used to walk? Remember when the 3-2 call used to be called the Nimmo? Can we get back to that? Can we stop swinging early in the count and trying to hit the ball 400 feet? Like, that's not your game, bro. Can we get back to getting on base, at least? Because you're not doing anything else right now. What else? It feels kind of silly to complain about the offense when they scored 7 runs today, but this lineup was supposed to be the strength of this ball team, and it seems like it's their weakness right now. Even though the bullpen exploded, I still trust them to bounce back. I trust the rotation, the rotation, part of my accent. But yeah, this offense got to wake up. They're streaky. They're just scoring 4 or 5 runs in an inning, and then they forget about the rest of the game. It's like, come on, we need some consistency. And I'm not even going to talk about Juan Soto. I know he's going to pick it up. But, man, start hitting the ball in the air a little more. Like, hitting the ball hard but into the ground sucks. Anyways, thank you guys for having me. If you even listen to this long-ass podcast, I wish you the best, guys. Keep up the good work. Let's go, Mets.
That was awesome. I'm happy that's the one we're going to end on, because that was a great voicemail from you.
I've got to talk about the Eric Chavez stuff, because Disha put out a great article talking about Francisco Lindor and Eric Chavez. And I think a lot of people spin this as a positive, that Francisco Lindor and Chavez were able to call each other out. Did you not think it was weird that Francisco Lindor called out Eric Chavez for not doing his job, and Eric Chavez is like, yeah, I'm not doing it? Does that not feel weird to anybody?
Also, for more context, the article was basically the fact that this was last year during the whole Jorge Lopez debacle, that it was like the meeting, the accountability meeting was kind of what the players called it. Like Lindor stepping up being like, I'm not playing well right now. And apparently he pulled Eric Chavez aside, be like, hey, we need more. Like, we need more help. We need more preparation. Like, we need to know more about what's going on and stuff. And Chavez was like, yeah, you're right. Like, that's definitely kind of a red flag. I think Chavez is another guy who has become a bit of a scapegoat. Some of it might be rightful. I know a lot of people who, even like smart baseball development people on Twitter, who don't really like what Chavez does with the hitting development here, or just being a hitting coach here, and the Jeremy Barnes hitting development as well. It's weird. And you talk about all the bat tracking stuff, and like if they actually are telling some of these guys to let the ball travel this much, and like that could be a pretty bad cue and something that could be affecting his team negatively.
Yeah, I don't know. Chavez has his moments where he looks great, and Chavez has moments where he looks terrible as the hitting coach.
Well, that's how hitting coaches are. It's kind of like the team's hot, you're the man. Yeah,
I was going to say it's very cyclical. Is that the right way? It's like sometimes you're good, sometimes you're not. It depends how the team's doing. When the team's not doing bad, you blame the hitting coach, because you're not going to blame the players for every single thing going wrong at the end of the day. But I felt like this article was like weird. Great article by Disha. Great article. She's the best friend of the podcast. But I felt like it wasn't being talked enough about how weird it was that Francisco Lindor had to call out the hitting coach of the team. That's so weird.
It is a weird thing, too, where Lindor is like such a leader on this team, like probably even more so than like captains and leaders are on other teams, where he has the actual, I don't even know what to say, like the organizational support, like the clout to call out a coach.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if the best player in some other teams called out a hitting coach, the hitting coach would be like, what the fuck did you just say to me? But like Lindor like has enough clout, and like he is the man with his team where you can do things like that. But I'm happy you brought that up, because I do remember reading that the other day and being like, this is strange.
Yeah, everyone took it as like, what a positive from Lindor. Like, he stepped up, and that's right. But also, one of our coaches wasn't doing his job for
what
a month.
What do you mean? Yeah, he wasn't doing enough.
About? I don't know. Yeah. It's whatever. This team's fine. We're going to be okay. We're going to win today against the Nationals anyway, calling it right now. And we'll be 20 wins for the season. That'll be great. But that's it for this episode. A little bit longer voicemail one, but we wanted to get everybody's in there. Appreciate everybody reaching out to us. Remember, follow us on all our social media at Mets'd Up on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to the Mets'd Up Podcast YouTube channel. See the video version of this. And if you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. You can follow James on social media at
James Shiano. Also, if you are members on the YouTube channel, I think we're going to do our members only Q&A pre-game Monday. I think that's what we decided on. We got some people told us that they'd be around for that. This is about 25 of you guys now. Really happy you're all here with us. But so if you guys are a member, check on YouTube Monday around 3:30, 3:40 before the 4 o'clock game. We'll do a members only Q&A.
And you can follow me on social media at GiraffeNeckMark. Thank you guys for listening and watching. We will catch you all on the next episode. Peace out.
Peace out, guys. Let's go Mets. Tie the series up.